Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Tuesday. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly. The panel are assembled. As you can see, the Avengers are in the building. Keith's also joining us tonight, back again by public demand. Has a couple of topics he wants to raise with us as well that we're blind to. So it should be an interesting show. We have a great show ahead as well. So make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. No excuses for that. I was checking the analytics the other night. The likes are shambolic, folks. Shambolic. You need to be liking the minute you come in here and then drop back into the chat. That's what we're looking for. We do have a really good show tonight. We're going to be going through Raw. We're going to be taking a look back at Triple Mania, I should say. We're going to be taking a look at Forbidden Door. We're going to be taking a preview for Smackdown coming up this Friday. I think most of the boys are there, maybe Bar Keith. Keith, are you going Friday, no?
No, I can't afford it. I might go and see Smiths to see what's her name, Chelsea Green, because she's doing an autograph signing.
There you go. What else have we got? So we have a few other topics as well we're going to go through as well. So it should be a good one. We'll be talking about wrestlers turning actors and how they were ranked. We'll be chatting about Tiffany Stratton's title reign so far. Are we going to get a Wednesday Night Wars? We'll be talking about Y2J. Is he potentially heading back to WWE for one final run to see it out and stuff like that? And we'll be talking about John Cena, who commented at a fan fest this week, talking about the heel turn and how he felt about it, and also how important the match against Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam was. So that's generally what we have. If you have anything else in there you want to add in the chat, let us know, or on the panel as always. So we'll start off. Brent, all good?
Yeah, 100%. Looking forward to getting stuck in. I have a couple of things to get off my chest. Let's
Sean O.
All good this week.
Good. Sean Mack.
Brilliant, thanks. Very happy to be back in full capacity and looking forward to a great show.
Full capacity. I was laughing last week when you jumped in the chat and go, is there room for one more? Like, what the hell? You're part of the furniture now.
Not breaking and entering per se, and not totally missing, but just to be here.
Absolutely. And Keith, as I said, is joining us as well, who joined us on the Premier League prediction show the other night with Phil and all. We had a great night that night. It was good crack with Darren. But back again. We're back in the wrestling hot seat again. In the chat, my brother from another mother, Baz, is in the chat as always. Big up. And Dave is in as well. Big up, Dave. It's all good, my friend. All good. Hope you are good too. Right, let's kick it off. Let's take a look back at Triple A to kick things off. Me and Sean Mack mainly around this one are going to go for it. So, Sean, take us away. What did you like? What did you not like? How did it feed in? We know some of this fed back into Raw as well, so we might be going over all ground as well and stuff like that. But kick us off, Sean Mack. What you think?
I really enjoyed the show. I think this is the first time I've properly sat down and took in the AAA product. I've seen a couple of these people cross over to WWE, and I've seen them pop in other places, but strictly AAA, this is my first time, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very different show to what I'm used to, and I think that's okay. I don't think the WWE influence in this was particularly strong, which I think is actually quite a good thing, because there's times where you can tell that they have their fingerprints all over it, and it can hurt the booking, and it can hurt the results. That happened with Slammiversary. You could tell that it had Paul Levesque's fingerprints all over it, and Shawn Michaels. So you could tell the writing was kind of on the wall. I didn't feel it here, though. I thought this was a really good show. I particularly liked the Rumble match, or as they call it in AAA, the Copa Bardal. A few people popped up who I knew. Obviously, the big highlight, or maybe not big, very, very small highlight, really, was Microman facing off with Omos, the irresistible force meeting the immovable object of our time, really. You know, back then the kids had Hogan body slamming Andre. We had Microman simply being in the same room as Omos. So that was historic. Nice to see some surprises. Good to see Otis back. I can't help but feel, though, when the music started, I thought we were getting Chad Gable. Yeah. And I thought, good thing that he's back, if that is the case, and good thing he's flown over to see his friend El Grande Americano. Neither of those turned out to be the case, though, but it was still really cool to see them. Omos winning, I think Omos and his time in Japan has proved this. In ring, not great, but as a spectacle, he's incredible. And a lot of guys back then who were big weren't very good in ring, but were huge spectacles. And I think if WWE can book Omos like that, there might be some chances that he can actually stay
should book him
around.
like Andre the Giant in a sense back in the day where you vaguely saw him around the place. Do you know what I mean? Where like he just pops up here and there, and he's not frequently on the show constantly, and that people just get bored of it. But if they see him every once in a while, it'd be like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, we haven't seen him in a while. Let's see if he's improved in the ring or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. So the key is less Omos, but I don't mind him popping up here. Maybe not less Omos. That's harsh. He seems like a lovely guy. But it was very cool to see him win here. Obviously, the visual of him seeing Microman was incredible. And look, I think if anyone was to win this, I don't mind it being Omos, because obviously the crowds like him. The other thing I have to mention, and like the whole card top to bottom was great, but the big talking point was 6-person tag of the Judgment Day against Nino Hamburguesa, Lola Vice, and our old friend Mr. Iguana. The Iguana had met its match, being El Demonito. It's now selling on the Euroshop for, I think, $100, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
$100 for El Demonito.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I don't
Bargain.
necessarily believe in an afterlife or whatever, but if you pay that to get El Demonito, you're not seeing one.
It
was saying that it was still really fun.
It will sell out.
Yeah.
Make
And
no
Finn looked like he was actually having a good time, and I think that's quite refreshing. I saw some people say, man, this guy used to be Prince Devitt, and now he's holding like a puppet in Mexico. And I'm like, it's not that. It's a one-off comedy spot that's done for a bit of crack. I think that's okay here and there. And the same people who are giving shit to this were the same people, you know, pissed themselves when Harley Cameron brought out the Mercedes Monet puppet.
I actually told Niall, to be honest with you, when I saw that puppet, he said he'd probably seen dollar signs with that puppet.
Well, not as much dollar signs as Fergal or Finn Balor, I should say, because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to dress up as the demon because now he has the puppet and he's still earning the same dough. It's all good. You know what I mean? So it's.
And I think what Sean said there. Look, Balor has earned he's earned it to enjoy himself. And if he's enjoying himself, that's the best Balor, the relaxed Balor. We've seen it over recent weeks as well.
Yeah.
We've seen him enjoy himself a bit more. So this was just icing on the cake. And look, wrestling's a circus. It's a bit of crack in different parts. Some parts are serious. You're gonna get your comedy spots. So anybody that had criticism against this, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I was actually hoping that Jay did pull out a puppet of himself as well and work the internet audience as well. Bring out a puppet with like a huge head and a small body or something like that. And you know the way he talks about it and he works the internet community and stuff. That would have been kind of cool as well. So, but yeah, a bit of fun. I have to say, I really enjoyed the tag match as well with Pagano and Psycho Clown as well, and the Garzas was phenomenal.
Shouldn't they be moved to WWE? Psycho Clown. As a tag team, they're just brilliant. Put them as part. They've got the uniqueness about them. They're really good in the ring. And we spoke today, Niall, and a couple of people said that came into the shop. The tag team division needs a bit of a boost, and bringing them in would be part of it.
Max Mini. Love it. Yeah, it would. You know what it is? And I think they might do it, but I think what happened was they've done the LWO and it hasn't quite worked the way they thought it would work. And I think what they're doing is they're testing the water now with kind of Mr. Iguana and stuff like that to see how that's received in the audience. And if that's received really, really well, I think they'll introduce a few more characters and stuff like that, because you know, wrestling goes through cycles and we grew up with so many of these characters. I do have to say as well, the ring gear from the two boys in the tag match coming down there, there must be serious money invested in that. And when you're walking down in that dedicated that much and like, you know, you're dropping the straps back, that's a big tip. They could have just walked out in their normal gear, but they looked the business. Absolutely looked the business, I have to say. So I love when I see that kind of thing.
Is there something to be said for El Messias as well? Now, look, this is kind of my introduction to this world, to be honest with you. And El Messias, I found out after seeing the match, I think he's like 48, 49 or whatever. And he's incredible. He's deadly. And that match itself was pretty decent too. Like, so they've certainly got some talent there, but El Messias definitely deserves, am I saying that right? El Messias? Elma size.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
was it?
yeah. It's fine.
Elma size. That's the trouble with it as well. We're gonna get all of these names, and it's gonna be like, am I saying that right? Am I saying this right? But Elma size to me was a bit of a highlight, especially when I found out what age he was.
Yeah. I think the thing about that lucha style, that lucha wrestling down there and stuff like that, it's such a legacy and a lineage and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's passed down through the ages and stuff like that. And I think a lot of these guys, they wrestle and wrestle till they literally can't wrestle anymore. And I have to say, the highlight for me as well, apart from the wrestling and the spectacle and the color of it all, and the difference between the matches and stuff like that, as you guys mentioned, Almas and stuff like that. But Conan going into the Hall of Fame and Rey Mysterio doing it for me was a real moment. I'm sure Sean was impressed with that as well.
Absolutely. I think about this is it is as much about celebrating AAA as it is introducing people to new styles and new wrestlers. And I think Conan and Corey Graves did a really good job of like explaining the history. So it really is indulging you. Like 2-3 months ago, did anyone know who the hell Mr. Iguana was? Well, anyone on this screen, I would highly doubt it. And now he's super over. He's appearing on SmackDown. He's selling tons of merch.
I thought he was Howie Mandel when I first seen him, to be honest. I thought it was like, what's Howie Mandel dressed in green?
Yeah, I was thinking that genuinely,
as well, 100%.
Like the master of disguise. And one thing I was kind of shocked about, and this is jumping ahead, but I think Vikingo is absolutely incredible, and I think we're all very impressed by him. I had no idea that he's essentially like the 2015 Roman Reigns. No one wants him there. No one wants him winning. They're a more pro Del Rio crowd than I thought. It turns out when Rey Mysterio came out to do his promo, they were chatting for Del Rio, and he said in Mexican that he'll bring him, he'll get him. So it seems like Alberto Del Rio's or Alberto El Patron, his return is imminent. So just get used to it, I suppose. But saying that, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much of it is we're so sick of Vikingo, we want Del Rio, or because El Grande Americano is so over. And the thing is, I find this so funny. All the fans on the IWC who are from America say that El Grande Americano is racist, insulting, disrespectful, mocking the tradition. And then you see him in Mexico and they are lapping him up, like bowing at his feet. Like
because some of those IWC crowds have issues just to have issues. Like they throw it out there, they say, well, what could be a potential issue? Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to shine a light on it and blow it up. The reality of it is it's not offensive. We seen it there the other night. And let's face it, whoever's under that mask, we think it's Kaiser. I'm not quite sure. I think it's the same guy. But that's irrelevant. It's perfect. The crowd loved it. He was able to speak to them. It was incredible. So the IWC, when it comes to that section of the IWC, forget about it.
They've lost their way in terms of enjoyment and fun. They've forgotten what it's like to just sit back and really enjoy a wrestling show and not have to find a way to be a cock.
Well, Niall, I watched the football show, right? And not once have I heard any of ye lads turn around and say, well, the stadium was half empty, you know what I mean? And the demographic for that team is this, and the demo. We as fans, I don't believe should care about the demo. We shouldn't care what demographic is into this, what demographic is into that. We as fans shouldn't care about attendance. We should support wrestling. Follow the wrestling you're into. Don't be shown, oh, look, here's a picture of AEW. Bollocks. You took that picture 2 hours before the event kicked off and you're just looking for likes. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Sorry.
You're fine. I think anyone who tunes into this podcast will know that we're all guys that are glass half full, not half empty. And that we 100%. we see the joy in this business and we enjoy it to the fullest, and that's how we work, you know.
We have a visitor.
He's in. Well, lads, renewed thrift shop here, loving this. Big up, Miles. Great talking to you today.
Oh, what a man.
Yeah, he was in with us today. So yeah, we had good cracking, good stories and good chat and all. So thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We get him on soon as well, actually, because he's opening up a shop down in Waterford. and he's going to be specializing in kind of wrestling figures and Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. So we get him on and get him to do a video when he's launching the store and stuff. That Brandon be talking to him and stuff.
I've seen some of his figures as well. I went onto his TikTok and his Instagram. I had to zone in, but he's got some cool figures, lads. Like, I'm a Hasbro guy, and I seen the Hasbro collection, and we're gonna know when he's opening up. And I'm gonna try if I can get down there on day one, and I'm gonna pick up some of the wrestlers I lost as a kid. Like, it's ridiculous, it's deadly. And look, this is I shouldn't be saying that actually, but yeah, Miles, we'll see you soon, pal.
Absolutely, 100%. Right, let's get in and chat about Raw then. Unless Sean, you've anything else to add on Triple Mania?
Just one thing to say about El Grande Americano. There's rumors that it's Ludwig Kaiser, but what actually happened was when El Grande Americano disappeared after the ladder match, he had really, really bad posture because, like, he was bent over and he got smashed into ladders. So he went to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor did something to his back that made his height extend.
Stretched him
by about, I think, 5-6 inches. It's about 3 feet. So that's why he's a bit taller and a bit more broad and a bit more thin. Because
5 or 6 inches, that's massive.
And he stretched his traps along with his neck.
Yeah, I mean, that chiropractor, he must be, that guy who does the chiropractor videos with the wrestlers. It must be him.
The guy out in Blanche, what's his name? Magic Hands Jimmy.
It was definitely Magic Hands Jimmy.
Magic Hands Jimmy and Blanche?
There we go. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He does that. He aligned my back for me one time, yeah. Serious job. Serious.
Is he in he's in Clonsilla, actually? I've heard of this guy. Never been to him. I've heard of this guy. Yeah. Wow, okay.
There you go.
Small world.
Well worth a visit. If you want to grow 3 inches and not be a Hasbro guy.
3 inches is big, all right, Niall.
Sorry, it is. Depending on the angle. Right, let's kick off Raw then. Let's start. Keith, you kick us off on Raw. Kick us off.
Well, you know what? I really enjoyed the Paul Heyman segment at the start. I broke my shite laughing with the Tommy Dreamer, the late Tommy Dreamer. I thought that was hilarious. Overall, do you know what? It was a very solid show. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Io Sky, to be honest with you, but she's a great wrestler. It was a solid match. I don't know what they're doing with Penta, to be honest with you, because I'm a big fan of Penta. I feel like he's kind of getting a bit lost in the shuffle. Now, that's just my opinion. I thought he would have been maybe involved in the IC title belt or something like that, maybe. But again, solid match. I enjoyed the tag match with Finn Balor and Dragon Lee and all that. I thought we would have seen AJ Styles come out. I'm surprised we didn't. We got Vikingo instead. But still, a good solid match. To be honest with you, I zoned out when Nikki Bella came out. So don't ask me what happened there. And then Naomi, you can tell she was trying to hold it in together over that promo segment. I had to give it to her. And I don't know, like, what do you think is going to happen there now with that title? Do you think they're going to keep it with just singles, or do you think they're going to have a multiple women's match for the title for Clash?
I think they should do nothing, just put it on Stephanie Fakir and be done with it.
Well, I agree with that, yeah.
I'd be happy.
Or what I said in the chat today, basically stick it on Natalya and present Natalya, put her in Seth's group and present her. Do not give her the mic. She doesn't need to talk. Basically have her in Seth group. Paul Heyman does the talking and present her as the badass she's been presented as in Bloodsport. That's not a bad show.
Yeah, I think as well, like, I thought the Natalya and Becky match was, you can tell the fans were just not into it at all. And I think they had to end that probably pretty quickly. I could be wrong there, but that's the way I took it up. And I enjoyed the Extreme Rules match as well. And then obviously Roman Reigns coming out too. So that was a good little ending to Raw. But it was a solid show, I have to say.
Yeah, I think with the Becky match, what they were trying to sell it as a kind of a legitimate shoot, really. Because on the background, the Bloodsport and stuff like that, and I think that's the way it was going to go. You know, like if you're in a proper sort of fighting, like a shoot like that, you're not going to be armbarring someone for about 5 minutes till they get to the ropes and all. It doesn't work that kind of way. It's a different kind of category. I really liked Braun Breaker coming out with the badass Braun Breaker after being on the Taker podcast. I have to say, I really like that. I really enjoyed actually. Xavier as a heel is beginning to grow on me. I thought he was really good in this Penta match. I thought he was really cool doing the walk and the dance and all this kind of stuff. And then suddenly he'd eat something off Penta, and the back and forth I thought was really, really good. Have to say I really enjoyed it. I thought the stuff with Balor and stuff, Mr. Iguana and Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee is just sensational as a performer as well.
Yeah.
Really, really cool in there.
Consistent.
Yeah, we spoke about obviously Nikki coming in to sort of cement the storyline kind of with Becky at the cost of kind of Natalia. Naomi was a tough one for me because Naomi's one we've spoke about for a number of weeks now, how much she has improved, and you know, the character development and the whole caution thing and getting the belt and being this aggressive heel and, you know, being up against Jay Cargill and all, and like a beast like that that's so present, and how she looks and everything. All I thought Naomi was absolutely fantastic in her development. And then of course this happens and we don't talk about it like an injury or a bad thing. Obviously it's a wonderful experience becoming a mother and having a baby, and obviously Jimmy becoming a father as well, absolutely sensational. But the timing couldn't have been any worse, really, could it? When you think about it, this obviously wasn't planned. This was obviously a celebration at some stage of winning a belt or winning a match or something, and Jimmy went full bore, as they say, you know. But yeah, it was, look, we wished them the best and stuff like that and all, and you could see how conflicted she was having to give up the belt, but obviously not being conflicted because she's going to become a mother and have a baby and all. We wish them well and that, so it was obviously a tough one.
Can I ask you, what are they doing with Dominic and Finn Balor? Because it just seems to be endless with this storyline that they're doing. It feels like they're grand 1 minute and then they're just like against each other the next.
It feels like it's just a power play, really. I think they're probably in limbo at the moment with Liv getting injured. I'd say that's what it is. I'd say it's more that than anything else, and they're just trottling along on it and stuff like that, you know. Main event I thought was really, really cool as well, but I think it was just an emptying out of the locker room, really, as we've seen before, but I still enjoyed it and stuff like that. Sean Mack, thoughts?
I thought it was a pretty solid episode of Raw, but I have to say I was absolutely loving all the ECW references at the start. I was just sitting there in my bed going, I understood that reference, and then I understood that reference, and I understood. I'm like, I'm just very modern. But I really liked how Paul said, in this city, I am God. And that got a big pop. And then he said, when they were chatting OTC, they're not chatting OTC, they're chatting Paul E. Famously. And I liked how Big Jim, do not proceed with caution. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I liked how Heyman said, like the Sandman, whoo, and then like New Jack, and the crowd kind of went, oh, I don't know about that. And then he mentioned Tommy Dreamer and said he's not dead, but he should be. And I thought to myself, what did poor old Tommy Dreamer, ever do to deserve that? And then I remembered at WrestleMania 17, he was so bitter about ECW, he was planning on doing a double murder suicide on himself and Paul Heyman.
Yes.
He did commentary. Yeah, he was going to pull
up.
I
thought about you today after that happened, and I was going to ask you about it, but I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, and he didn't do it in the end. Thankfully, he came around. But if he did that, I think wrestling probably would have been a little different for the past, I don't know, 20 years, 24 years. But no, poor old Tommy Dreamer. It made me think, do you ever see that clip of 50 Cent? And he's like, what the fuck you say fuck me for? Yeah. Maybe think Tommy Dreamer's probably saying that at home. But it was really cool. And I liked how in the main event, Jey Uso donned the New Jack gear, the ripped shirt and the bandana and the shopping trolley with all the plunder in it. The only thing I was missing was him doing a dive off stuff. I was going to say his music playing all the way through, but I hate his music, so maybe it's bad enough that he does his long entrance, and I don't mind it now, not as much as he does when he goes through the stage and not through the crowd. But then when he does it through the crowd, then he goes and starts again. As Brent, I think Brent did a better job than I did there. But
now he's getting the crowd to do it as well. Did
yeah.
You see and come here, look, what did you think of Braun Breaker's? Because I think we're probably not paying enough attention to Braun Breaker in the background when this stuff is happening. He's gold. What? He's not dead? I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't take
He is
anyone seriously
gold.
who's wearing a shirt that says "woof woof woof" on it.
You take him seriously if he's about to spare you. You'd be taking him
Yeah.
very seriously. Greatest spare of all time.
Imagine Braun Breaker versus Taz. That made me. I was thinking of all the ECW Time Machine Dream matches that could have happened.
Oh, you say
Mr.
that much.
Iguana versus the
Good
Blue
show.
Meanie.
Yeah, God. Yeah.
Imagine.
Mr. Iguana versus Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh,
Or Ricky
that-
or Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Now we're talking. Now we're
Ricky
talking.
the Iguana Steamboat.
There we go.
You know
There we go. There
the
we go.
the Io Sky and Asuka feud. Do you think it's going to be just a slow burner, or do you think they're just going to get through it pretty quickly with Asuka turning heel?
No, I don't think they can get through. Triple H can't get through anything pretty quickly.
Yeah, true.
So
Actually,
it'll be slow, and there'll be a bit of teasing, and then bang, turn,
Yeah.
and then bang, pretty fine feud.
Dave, I think Dave's comment is spot on there. One of the things as well, and I don't think we said it, is when she told Adam Pearce to get out of the ring. She just went into character and out of character. It's an awful shame, but look, she's gonna come back, like she said. She's gonna come back, even if she's breastfeeding, when she's gonna come back, she's gonna come back and batter them all. And I believe her as well. She is incredible. Love that woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave's in as well. The Reptilian Rumble. There we go.
I'd
There
watch
we
that.
go.
If WrestleMania can have a gimmick battle royal, we can definitely have a puppet rumble.
That's something we should actually look at as a topic for next week. Actually, animals in wrestling who've been involved in wrestling. And we'll create a slide on it and see what comes out.
Yeah, the first two entrants are Mr. Iguana and El Demonito, and then Mr.
Santana.
Socko, and then Sooty, and then Sweep, and then
Santina
God,
Morella.
and then the Cobra. Oh my God! I'm getting
Coco
so
Beware with
Tina.
Frankie.
This has to happen. Yeah,
Coco with Frankie.
And then the Calgary Bear, the one that used to wrestle at Calgary.
yeah.
The Bulldogs with Matilda.
And then the big final stare, then Sweep and Mr. Iguana.
The gobbledygooker. There we go.
Wasn't
Him
that
as
a
well.
Guerrero in the suit?
Was it?
That was a Guerrero, wasn't it? In the suit.
gobbly-
Eventually, like the Undertaker thought it was going to be him at one stage. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to be Eggman or something like that." But wasn't the person in the suit one of Eddie's uncles?
No,
That's
I
what I
think
heard anyway.
No, that was just the gobbledygooker.
Good point.
I had to get him out of the house for the day. Do you remember they brought him
Alright.
back during COVID? They had him in the 24/7 title thing.
Mm.
It was I can't remember the show. Don't even ask me. But they did like a run-in during the show, during the pre-show, and they showed R-Truth and him running off into the backstage, and then it just showed them stopping and walking because they thought like they changed camera and they were not off air but not showing that anymore. So they ran for a bit and then looked around and then just started.
And it was still going.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
Like, technically,
That leads us into our history later because this week was the Shockmaster week. So there you go.
Oh my
So we will be touching on that later.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
So yeah, it all ties in nicely. Sean, talk us down through the women's stuff and all, and where you think this belt is going to go that's come off Naomi.
Well, I'll go through the whole card, just have a few opinions. Of course, the opening segment I thought was brilliant. As Sean said, the ECW stuff was perfect. And Braun Breaker, over the past few weeks, the comedic side to him, he's hilarious. He really is. Io Sky defeats Raquel Rodriguez, Rhea Ripley, blah, blah, blah. Same thing week in, week out. I suppose. Xavier Woods, we've said a few times, and I will say it time and time again, so underrated. He is brilliant. And I sincerely hope that he gets a singles run. Title-wise, at some point, I think he's more than deserving of it. And Dragon Lee, come on, he's incredible. I think I want to see that man hold the Intercontinental title at some point. Becky Lynch and Natalya, I wish that match was a bit longer. I'm kind of hoping Bren's not going to like this opinion. I wouldn't mind a clash in Paris if we get Nikki versus Becky, have Nikki take the title and Becky go for the world title. I wouldn't mind that. I know, Bren, I know. Naomi vacating the women's title, as we said, she's held it for 36 days, 36 or 39 days, and I'll easily say over that over her whole title reign, it was easily the most I've been invested or entertained since the women's title has come out. Would you give Xavier
your
the women's
plan
title?
is to immediately take the belt off her. You said this has been the best title reign of the year. I've been so invested. Anyway, Nikki Bella should win. Take it off.
He slid straight from one into the other. Yeah, he just blended it lovely, like, you know.
Oh, that's my gimmick, Sean.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Full
So,
stop, comma, question mark, full stop, comma, question mark.
Exclamation mark, comma.
I was just thinking of women's battle royal in Paris.
I think so, but right, this is going to be a bit controversial. Don't give the title to Stephanie Baker. I'd love her to win the title. Don't get me wrong. I think she's amazing, and I really want to see her win the title. I just don't think now is the perfect time. Like, she has been on Raw a few weeks.
Nikki Bella, for God's sake, or else I won't watch Raw again.
Are you saying you want to see Steph do the chase for a little bit more to kind of build her up her character a bit more? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. She hasn't had any storylines yet. Like, she's been in and out of maybe the Rhea and Io storyline, but that's kind of about it.
Rio's easier to say than Rhea and Io, so that's probably okay.
Rio is the new tag team.
You're really going at me tonight, aren't you, Sean?
The same way that instead of saying Britain leaving the EU, you say Brexit, and everyone goes, "Oh yeah." Saying Rio,
we are friends.
That's why Ryback and Curtis Axel were called Rybaxel.
You mentioned there, Sean. You don't think it's the right time. So when do you think would be the right time? What do you want from Stephanie Baker to kind of solidify her getting potentially the title? When does it happen, or what else do you need to see? Because this is a wrestler who's gone in there. She's lit up the place. She's unbelievable as a performer, and she's already highly decorated, even going in there and while she's been in there. So what else? What else do you need to see from her? She
has that star quality, and we know she can hang with the best of the best. I think if we maybe just get one good storyline out of it, or it would have been a great opportunity. Like, if you took Naomi out of the picture, let's say, if you brought Stephanie up to Raw and then had her put straight into a storyline, it'd make more sense. But since they haven't had her in a storyline, she's just kind of been in the background. And as the number one contender for the title, you want them to be front and center. She hasn't been. She's been in promos backstage, kind of the sidelines. And you know, obviously, this whole Naomi pregnancy has been unexpected, you know. Like, it's not like it's been planned or anything. It's not like it's a work. So I think everyone's kind of thrown off the tracks a little bit. I just think if you're going to put the title on Stephanie at Clash in Paris, like, that's next weekend. I think you would have want to had her front and center this week. Maybe after Naomi announced everything and left, I think kind of doing what they had when, I can't think who vacated the NXT title. It was Indy Hartwell when she vacated the NXT title, that you had Tiffany and them come into the ring, kind of have a little brawl, fighting over the title, pulling it back and forth. I think that would have been a good idea to do with Stephanie. It wouldn't have made it seem demeaning or anything. I think if you would have had Stephanie stand tall at the end.
Just to what Miles said in the chat there, right? It's not a bad shout to what Miles said in the chat about putting the tables, ladders, and chairs in the ring, because we also know that a match can do everything for somebody that, say, a few months could as well. So one match could make somebody. So I think what you're saying is you want to see her build up a bit more character through more stories. But to the other point, if she was to have a whopper 3 stages of hell, TLC, whatever have you match, or a big battle royale where she comes in at the start, she batters everybody, and then basically stands tall after a quality showing, that could be her story.
That would be good as well. And I would not mind that. I just think if they do it right, with the short window they have, if they can do it right, it will be absolutely perfect. So
See, the reason I actually asked was because when you listen to what's out there at the moment, no one wants it to go back on EO Sky at the moment. No one wants Rhea Ripley to be involved in it. No one wants
Definitely
Charlotte
not.
Flair, probably Alexa
Well-
Bliss. So like you're kind of Bailey. You're running out of names here. Like who do you
Nikki Bella.
like if you but you know what I mean? Like I don't think anyone actually wants to see Nikki Bella as champion.
Imagine
Because
the
I mean,
promos.
if you think Stephanie Facour is a short build up and stuff like that, well, Nikki, even though she has a bit of history and stuff like that, no,
Yeah.
it's still short lived in terms of being back. And like I'd be favouring Stephanie before I'd be favouring Nikki, to be honest.
But do you
Look,
remember
even
when,
though
sorry, Sean, do you remember when Trish first came in and we were getting out to wrestle and all that back in 2001, I think it was 2002. And then she had a short term of being a champion. She got it, Survivor Series 2001, wasn't it? Her first title run. And that didn't really harm her at all, like I thought. And she was only
But
beginning to be like a
it
rookie back
was a
then.
much more different time and limited roster as
Yeah.
well. I mean, you only had a handful of women really in there at the time and stuff like that and all that. Whereas now is, you know, these women week on week are going toe to toe with the men. And like, if you compare both rosters, if you take the women's roster and the men's roster, you know, the amount of talent on that women's roster at the moment is absolutely insane. But the question is, would you take this belt and, you know, and where do you go with it? And Raw has kind of been so strong, where SmackDown has kind of struggled a little bit in recent times. It's what way do you do that? And you know, if you're going to pull someone from SmackDown, what gap does it leave there in terms of how you plan it? If you're going to go on the Raw side of things, does it just go back on Rhea? You know, do you do like a Queen of the Ring tournament or something like that? Do you do a one night Grand Prix thing? What do you do? How does this work? Does that solidify Stephanie? If you were to do a one night, like an Evolution kind of thing, but for the belt, you know, and she had to go through Rhea, she had to go through EO, she had to go through people to get there. You know what I mean? And then maybe when you put the belt on her, you get a lesser kind of, you know, you get a lesser kind of your Austin 316 moment, but for Stephanie Facour. And
So
that builds her then and legitimizes her then, you know, because this we forget sometimes, because when we see them, this lady is extremely decorated. If you look at her career and stuff like that, and all,
I think I'm gonna go back a bit on what I said here. I think even though it mightn't be the right time, I still think it makes the most sense to put Stephanie Becker in that position, considering the small window of time they do have. So of course I'd love to see her as champion, you know.
But Sean, would you rather if she won the Royal Rumble and then go on and win at WrestleMania to say against Rhea or something like that? Would that be a better one? Because at least that's a proper story.
But then are you then staring? You're staring then nearly another half a year, 6-7 months of Rhea being champion or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
But
and
then also as well, we also commented on the WWE not striking the iron when it's hot as well at times.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that as well. If you were to drag it out that long, it might lose its steam.
Yeah, and Stephanie has a lot of momentum at the moment, and she has a great character, and we know she's durable as well. She doesn't tend to get injured, you know, and that kind of thing. So, like, I think it's a good opportunity for them. Like you think about it, when Naomi turned heel, we were all looking at this girl coming out with caution tape, and we were going, "What do we think of this?" All of a sudden, then you grab hold of it, you get it, the penny drops, you understand it, you're selling it to people, people buy into it, next thing you're champion. I think with Stephanie, we could find the same thing there, you know. I think this could be an opportunity to give her the ball and let her run with it. Otherwise, it's kind of, you're going back to more of the same. And then what happens is, as Bren said, you miss that momentum, and then people start saying, well, why didn't you give it to Stephanie? And stuff like that. And that's no disrespect. I love Rhea Ripley. I love EO Sky. I love all those girls in there. They're unbelievable. But I just think sometimes you might need that little bit of a change. And that change that we desired was when they put it on Naomi. And now that's gone away, obviously, you know. So that's why I think it's an opportunity.
Naomi hit the nail on the head when she said in her promo that she's given us 9 months a year to get change. And as you said, she was the change. Like, you look, since the women's world title was debuted, there's been 4 or 5 champions, and throughout a few reigns, I think two or three of them are Rhea's, and then one's EO's. I think it's the perfect time to get away from EO and Rhea. Keep them away from the title for not as long as possible, for a good bit anyway. There's absolutely nothing wrong with change. And I have absolutely no problem with, let's say, Rhea winning the title now and then dropping it and maybe winning it in a year or two again. That's fine. But like when it's consistent, or as consistent as Rhea was with winning the title, I think it just needs change.
See, I think if it goes to Rhea all the time, Sean, it's going to get really boring, and the fans will just turn on her.
And I personally got really bored with seeing Rhea.
Yeah.
And I do love Rhea Ripley, but I have gotten to kind of the point where I'm a bit sick of seeing her on my TV, and that was the exact same with Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of slightly different than that. I get exactly where you're coming from, and I know why people go that way. I kind of don't get sick of seeing them, but I like when you inject something new in there, and that's why I really loved when Roxanne came up, when Julia came up, and when Stephanie came up and stuff like that. It was a breath of fresh air from NXT, and it really freshened up that division, you know. And I thought that was really cool, and that's why I like it. And that's why I think maybe it needs something new, and this could be that something new. Now, how you arrive at her getting the belt, as Brent says, maybe the way that you do it, that it works, is you put her in a really, really good match that really sells us to her, as if you're binding the storyline into a one night kind of thing, and that's what does it. Maybe that's the way it does. Yeah, but I just think what they've done is, because of the way that they're using the other girls at the moment, and the way they're booking it and moving it around and stuff, to pivot from that now would cause a lot of chaos, I think, in the women's division. Like if you pull Rhea out of what she's doing at the moment, you know, that causes a problem with EO. You know, if you pull Charlotte out, it causes a problem with Alexa. You know, where do you go then? How do you pivot, and what happens? You know, so I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's definitely an interesting topic of discussion. But that, anything else, Brian, to add on Raw? Or?
No, I think you lads pretty much touched on everything, and I agree with most of it. The only thing I'd say is about the division. Paul Heyman does not have to do a 5-minute introduction of who they all are every single week. I mean, we know who they are. We've been tuning in. That was the worst part of the promo for me. I'm being a bit picky there because the rest of it was bleeding deadly. Heyman was on fire. Of course, it was Philadelphia, the home of ECW. But look, the man in the evening for me is Breaker. Breaker was incredible throughout his little reactions throughout everything. Like you said, the badass Braun Breaker t-shirt. But no, and I think you said it as well about Xavier Woods. I love Xavier Woods' work over the last few weeks. It's been stellar. From his $7,000 hat.
If you remember the show we did when they were turning, I think myself and Sean were doing it as well. We were talking about how when the New Day unfolds and they become heels, where I wouldn't be worried about Xavier Woods because he's super talented, I'd be more worried about what they do with Kofi.
Sure.
And that's kind of playing out in front of our eyes at the moment. Now, I know Kofi's doing the character stuff as well, but you can see that Xavier Woods, in terms of that, and listen, this is a very established wrestler in Kofi Kingston, but you can see Xavier Woods just has that little bit of star power in that jar there that people would latch onto, both as a heel or a face.
I think Kofi doesn't have many years left in him, doesn't he? He's about 45 now, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like, if you look at the way it's happening at the moment, they're not being overused or anything like that. You know, these guys are what are they working sometimes twice a month?
What I'd probably do with the New Day is I'd probably have Xavier go on a solo run. Badass, just a bad guy all the way through and through. And then at the end of that heel run, where he eventually does the eventual turn, a reunion with Kofi, and even bring Big E into the mix. I know he's limited and he can't do much, but go on.
Go on, yeah. No, go ahead, go on.
No, that's it. Like, just bring him into the mix and have that little, and then see where you can go from there. Basically, that was it.
I'd put the US belt on Kofi, and what I would do is I'd have Xavier kind of being the guy looking at the belt, giving it all that and all. And what I would do is I would have him give Kofi an unmerciful beatdown and say, "You're just like the other guy," and take the US belt off him eventually and skyrocket Kofi's heelish right to the moon. That's what I would do there.
Brian, can I ask you a question? Do you know what Jey Uso? Can you see this time next year? Can you see him still being mad over this time next year? Because I kind of wonder, is it just a phase that he's going through at the moment and the fans will get sick of him? Or do you think they'll still love him this time next year and he'll still be in the main event?
Jey Uso will not be in the main event this time next year.
Just for the record, I hope he still is. Just saying.
No, look, I think even Jay knows he's riding a wave, right? And that wave is eventually going to come crashing down. Because the reality of it is, and I think we might have touched on it one of the weeks, where he falls down is a pivotal part of being a superstar. It's a difference maker between a really solid wrestler and an absolute superstar is the mic skills. It's a confidence issue because Yeet is going to die eventually. And when Yeet dies, you know what I mean? It's not going to be, he's not going to be as good. Maybe he will be. I doubt it. But personally, my opinion, I cannot see this time next year. And look, we'll revisit it. What date is it? 19th of August. We'll revisit it next year in around then, right?
Do you see him in the main event then for WrestleMania next year? Or do you think it'll be sooner than that?
He will not be in the main event for WrestleMania next year. Not a chance. The experiment took place at WrestleMania this year. The experiment, to me, look, I enjoyed it. Like that, it was different. But they're not going to do it again. That's just my opinion. He might be near the main event scene. He might have that LA night role that Niall talks about. He's somebody that you can put into the main event to put somebody over every.
You there?
Hello? Oh, he's crashed out, is he?
Rand's crashed out. Yeah, I get what he's saying there. I think if you watch the Unreal documentary, you can see what Brent touched on there in terms of confidence. That I just don't know where he really believes in himself as being a megastar, if you like. And I think what happens is I have a different view on it. I think he will still last the course. I think it might change slightly and it might evolve from this Yeet thing and stuff like that. But what I think will happen is I think they shifted him into that position and they realized he was probably struggling a little bit with it to be able to manage it and hold it and stuff like that. Brent was spot on. But I think it was just a confidence thing with him. But I think from that first run and stuff like that, he will have learned from that. And I think what you could see a second evolution of Jey Uso coming. And certainly he has a lot of the tools there to be a star. You don't need to have a lot of moves. He has a fantastic look. They have a great following. He's arguably one half of one of the greatest tag teams to ever do it. And I think we could see a very much improved Jey Uso coming through again in the latter half of this year and stuff like that. I don't think we should get too caught up on the yeet stuff. I think that will ride a certain wave. But after that, I think he might pivot. And I think we could see the best. I'd like to see Jey Uso potentially going heel and going dark. And
I think he's going to go back to eventually.
I think that could solidify him. I don't know. That will eventually happen just out of, nostalgia and everything else. That will happen. But I don't think it has to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that has to happen more for Jimmy than it does for Jay.
Yeah, because
I think it's inevitable though. It's inevitable. I think the Usos are back together within the next year and a half, and that's just my opinion. I cut out there, but I heard most of what you said, Niall, and we'll just see what happens. But my opinion is maybe he goes dark, maybe that's his second wind. But again, I don't think it lasts that long because I don't think overall he's strong enough to hold the main event on his shoulders.
I hope I'm wrong. I think in terms of that confidence and being able to carry it at that point and in the last month or two, I think you're probably spot on. But I think you can back out of that and learn from that and see where you got it right and where you got it wrong and what you needed to do. And to have, like, he'd zero confidence in himself. You seen the build up to getting the belt. You seen that day. You seen that Unreal documentary. The guy was petrified, absolutely petrified. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be going in there if you're going into a title match at WrestleMania, you want to feel that you've earned that position and you're worth every bit of that. And that you're going in there to win that belt. And you're not only going in there to win it, you're going in there to win it because you feel it's right that it should be on it because you are that guy.
You have to know it. You have to know it.
Felt any of that. Yeah, he never felt any of that.
And it has to come across as well. You have to believe it. And I don't think he'll ever, I think he believes
it. Didn't feel, as I say, it didn't feel organic. It didn't feel organic. Whereas if you put a belt on Randy Orton or you put a belt on Edge or you put a belt, it feels kind of organic and stuff like that, that it's in the right place. I felt with this first one with Jey Uso, and I'm a big Jey Uso fan. Usos is one of my favorite tag teams. I'll die on that hill with anyone who tells me that they're not one of the greatest tag teams I've ever done it and stuff like that. But I think what happens is, I think with Jey Uso, I think it just needed a bit more time to evolve and bring a bit of credibility and seriousness to it. And the difficulty is when you're dancing, doing all the yeet stuff with the kids and the crowd and people are into that and stuff like that, it nearly in a way lacks a bit of credibility in terms of the title and the seriousness of the business and that element of it that you have to bring. That it's not just about the glasses or the entrance to the crowd or the music or the backing or the, when you look at Daniel Bryan and you think of the Yes movement and how simple it was. Yes, yes, yes. Absolute piss when you think about it, right? And that guy. But that guy at that time, it kind of felt a little bit right because there's a credibility behind Daniel Bryan at the time in terms of performer, in terms of a wrestler. He was probably the smallest guy in the locker room when you think about it. But the company recognized that not only are we going with this wave, as you said, Bren, when you strike when the iron's hot, but also there's a credibility to making that decision. Whereas if you look at kind of when they put the belt on Rey Mysterio at 22 on the back of Eddie's passing and stuff like that, and that's not to disrespect Rey Mysterio, but a lot of people look at that and they think, you really just got the Eddie rub kind of thing and stuff like that, even though we know how fantastic Rey Mysterio is. But that's kind of how it felt.
Well, to be honest, Niall, you took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to make that comparison, right? The thing about it is, I don't believe Rey Mysterio ever should have been world champion. He just shouldn't have been. I'm not taking away from the performer, the guy himself. He should never have been world champion. And I'm not saying that about Jey either. Like you said, time, place, and maybe it felt right at the time. But Rey Mysterio, he shouldn't have been in the conversation for world championship. He should have been in the main event, maybe. But that's where I see Jey. I see Jey like I see Rey Mysterio. Look, good at what they do, but they should not be world champion. So that's just how I feel about it. And that's a comparison.
It's like the Rusev day. They missed the ball with that as well when he was red hot.
Yeah, well, look, I'm hoping this, but also just on that, they have the Donnybrook match, right? Two things. Firstly, I think that match will make Rusev, which will be great. But why does he call it? Why do they call it a Donnybrook match? Sheamus couldn't be from further away from Donnybrook, right? And it's two separate places altogether. Donnybrook is the D4. He's from Cabra. Donnybrook is the D4 RTE crowd, the one that say Gordy and not Garda. So it shouldn't be called a Donnybrook street fight. A Donnybrook street fight would be two people like that. Do you know what I mean? They should call it, I don't know, a Blanche Hyden or a Blanche Baton or something like that. Something along the lines of that. But a Donnybrook street fight.
When we're finished the podcast,
yeah,
Google a Donnybrook wrestling match. It's nothing to do with the location.
Oh, I've missed something here, haven't I?
I know. No, you're okay. You're okay because it's all right. It's all right. But John's down the bottom there, nodding his head. Look, John, unless you want to divulge, Brent thinks this is somewhere that's at the side of Balls Bridge in Dublin. No,
Sean, educate me, my friend. Hit me.
Okay, I'll get the official definition just to make sure. So was it
okay, Brent? It's okay. I just.
Oh no, I appreciate you bringing it up because listen, I would have been at the water cooler and work now next week, and they would have been like, "Yeah, bleeding sap you." That's not what it means. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's just a Extreme Rules match with pub plunder.
There you go.
That's it.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Well, you can understand the confusion sticking an Irish guy, almost exclusively an Irish guy, into Donnybrook matches. And to Miles Martin Kavanagh, I'm very sorry I upset your missus. I didn't mean it. She's a top lady. Met them today. I didn't mean it, but look, I meant what I said about Ray.
I started that comment, so Fanton, it's on me. You just finished it.
Well, it's true. Rey Mysterio shouldn't touch that anyway.
Big up, Jeremy. Thanks for being the chat, pal. Hope you're subscribed and all that kind of stuff. Make sure, folks, you're liking as well. Make sure you are liking.
Liberty's Flats.
Liberty's Flats lettering. There we go. Right, we better quickly move on from Raw and let's talk about SmackDown coming up this Friday, guys. I know this is a little bit out of date before you jump in the chat and start telling me Cody ain't gonna be there and all. I don't do the slides at 10 to 8.
Lads, I thought
There we go.
this is the pipe bomb I wanted to talk about. No, not specifically Friday, but it's just generally more SmackDown. Like last week's SmackDown just gone was atrociously bad. I thought, like the lack of star power in, aside from Drew McIntyre. Now I know they're trying to pull off the Cody Rhodes segment with him being injured and all that, but like, what's the deal with bringing back Brock Lesnar and not having him on SmackDown up today? Like,
there's probably about 5 million reasons per episode or per appearance, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, but I imagine they could give him the money, no problem for that. Like, it just seems like it was pointless bringing him back.
But why would you give it on a throwaway SmackDown when you're still already 6 weeks out from the big pay-per-view that's going head to head with AEW?
See, my issue is that he's not going to be on the European tour. You know that for a fact.
Do we know that?
He might be in Paris.
Well, it could be, 100%. But I don't think he will, because Brock doesn't travel anywhere outside his farm. Let's be honest, if it's more money.
Well, he must have, because SummerSlam wasn't on his farm.
I agree with you, Keith. I actually agree with you. Look, when his music hit, the big pop, we didn't expect it. But do you know what? The fact that he didn't bother, he hasn't been bothering his arse. And look, we know it's money. We also know that WWE had mixed messaging about bringing Lesnar back. I think Triple H said Cena requested it, and then the next day Cena came out and said, "Well, they just put it in front of me, and I do it." I don't know what the crack is. To me, it's a little bit lackluster. I'll still watch the pay-per-view, obviously, as we do, but I agree with you. I'm a bit pissed off about the lack of Lesnar on SmackDown.
Bren, I think SmackDown needs a revamp. I just have not been enjoying SmackDown.
Big revamp.
It needs a boot in the hole.
Yeah,
it's terrible to watch lately. Do you know? It just feels like, don't get me wrong, Raw has been a very solid show week in, week out, and I've been enjoying it. But it just seems to be when SmackDown comes around, Triple H just doesn't give a shit. He just puts anything out there and let's hope it sticks. But nothing sticks, and it's just like nothing's enjoyable to watch on SmackDown.
It feels like you're watching it just to be kind of caught up nearly, instead of watching it to enjoy it. Like, I'd watch Raw to enjoy it, and I'd stay up for Raw, and then for SmackDown, I'm just like, you know what? I'll watch it tomorrow. It doesn't give me a reason to stay up.
Is there any point bringing it to draft? Like, no, that's Dave Armstrong.
They never stick to it. They never stick to it.
That's the problem. Yeah. Well,
they never stick to it. I think I was drafted in the last one. Do you know what I mean? They draft everybody, and they never stick to it. Do you know what I mean?
Honestly,
that's why you're still here.
I just think Raw has more star power than SmackDown does, and they seem to want to cater more to Raw than to SmackDown. And it's just
but that's historically that's always been the case. Raw's always been the marquee show.
Yeah,
so
true.
Let's not get it too twisted. Like, SmackDown has always been, and I don't mean the B show, because there's an incredible array of talent there. Maybe just because of the way they're booking Raw, and because we're enjoying it so much with, the Braun Breaker and the Bronson Reed and the Roman Reigns and all this stuff that's going on through it. And, things that are happening in there. And of course, Balor and JD winning constantly now and all that kind of stuff. And all. Maybe we're just enjoying Raw a little bit more. And maybe like the stuff on SmackDown that just isn't pushing our buttons the way we would want it.
I just feel like they just...
There's no shortage of talent.
No, there's not. And Jacob Fatu is brilliant. Randy Orton, solid as ever. Tiffany Stratton, I love. Cody Rhodes, I could take or leave him. I'd rather if he went heel, if I'm being honest with you. But I really enjoy some parts of SmackDown. But overall, it's just like a real filler show. And it's just like to move on to Raw next. That's how I feel.
It's kind of. I think the difference is it's more filler than hits, whereas Raw is more hits than fillers, right? How you look at music. I'm thinking of Sean as I'm saying that, because he's the music guy of the people. of our people, not the people in general. Hi, Sean.
We the people.
Right, but
Right.
I think SmackDown
team.
lately has been a bit filler and some hits. I disagree with the star power. I think they have the star power there. It's just how they're using it is all. And I think if they just put some solid stories on SmackDown, which it's not too late to do so. So I agree with what you're saying. It's a bit lackluster, but I just think it's the story and the direction, not necessarily star power.
No, I agree with you, Bren. Like, I'm actually intrigued to see how this Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes storyline comes about. To be honest with you, but like aside from that, I'm kind of getting sick of Solo and Jacob Fatu now. I think that needs to end.
Yep.
Do you know? And like Sammy as well going on to SmackDown, is that going to really improve much? Because he needs a real update as well, as we spoke last week. Do you know?
I think it's going to improve it tenfold, to be honest with you. He's one of the best on the roster. Anyway, what were you saying there, Noel?
He's Windows 3.1 in an AI environment. And that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, wow. Here,
Dave's in. The ticket prices were criminal for this show. They are criminal, Dave, but like...
Well, just to give you an example, right? The show before, the WWE that came over before this one on Friday, I'm going to the one on Friday, but the one previous to that, I paid 80 or 90 quid per ticket, right?
Yep.
For this show, for the 2 tickets that I got, it was nearly €1,000.
Jesus.
That is insanity. And by the way, I'm not ringside.
Where are you
You
sitting?
know what I mean? And for that, I'm a few rows back, kind of upper a little bit. But for the price I paid, I'd want to have John Cena deliver the food. I'd want to be in the bleeding ring, and I'd want an announcing spot as well, because that is ridiculous. So I agree with Dave. The pricing is atrocious.
I think I paid around the same. It was a joke.
And like that, Dave brought up a good point earlier on about AEW and ticket prices as well, right? Next year, we're talking about going to the London show. And I suspect that if the 4 of us went to the London show, or maybe the 5 of us went to the London show, it would still cost less than €1,000 all in to get us over there and for the tickets. I'm not saying for the accommodation as well, but it would still cost less than 1,000. And that's a few of us going to what we hope is a star-studded AEW show at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pennies.
the
Literally,
beauty-
I've been to London for AEW.
Yeah.
Went to Wembley twice. Went for the first All Out and this not All Out, All In. Sorry, and the second. And our seats were like 30 quid, and we stayed in Travelodge, so it was like 35, I think, for a room, and then extra if you wanted like food or hot towels or stuff like that. So like, it's not even close. Now saying that, I am going. Sean O'Rourke surprised me for my birthday. Thank you very much. But the prices are genuinely a joke.
But just to pivot from the prices as well, folks, don't forget to join me at about 20 to 8 on Friday evening. I will be here doing a watch along for the show, and the only thing it's going to cost you is a subscription on the channel. That's all you need.
It'll cost you your time.
That is more. That is value for money, but also as well, whilst we're at that, me and the Seans will be outside the Point Depot as well, early enough in the day. Come over and say hello. If anybody in the chat's going to the show, come over and say hello. We might be mic'd up. We might be doing a few interviews, and we'll have some promo material with us. So come over and say hello. But if you're not going to the show, tune into the watch along, because the watch alongs are an absolute blast.
And don't say anything, but they might have a little bit of merchandise as well. I'm just saying.
There might be a little bit of merchandise.
A whisper there. So see what happens.
28 here, 45 inside.
Yeah, go over to the guys. Let them know beforehand what you expect of the show. Let them know if you want to rant about ticket prices or whatever else you want to do. Feel free to do that. We post everything on here. All the video footage will go up on the channel. And after the show as well, if you want to let people know how you felt about the show. And Keith, if you're free on Friday evening, you're welcome to join me on the watch along if you want to endure 2 hours of Smackdown live from Dublin. There we go, and we see how it goes. So, yeah, anyone who wants to join me in that watch along, let me know. The link will be in the chat. You're more than welcome to join me if you want. It'll be Friday, starting I think at about 20 to 8. So we'll see. I thought it's such a for me, I think it's a monumental thing to have a live SmackDown for the very first time in the country, considering the array of Irish talent that have gone through WWE and is still there and stuff like that. Where are we in the chat? Let me see what I can find here. I've gone a little bit too far back. I got an AEW double TV taping for 30 quid. Yeah, look, you can't compare the two either. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know, it's all well and good saying, hey, look, I went to TNA for free Mania week. Yeah, but you know, I can't compare it to Mania. And
WWE can get away with it. That's the thing, like, because they know they get away with it.
I'm going to break a rule that I made at the start, and I'm going to talk about demographics, right? And key demos, right? I can't stand when people do that. But the reality of it is, sorry, 2 seconds. The reality of it is that, right? Let me just rewind. I just saw something there, right? Do you know what? Here's the thing, right? And I didn't mean to get caught up there. The key demo for a lot of wrestling fans are kids, and a lot of wrestling fans are kids. Their parents wants to bring them to the WWE shows, and it's not affordable. It's not affordable, and that's not right. They're a business at the end of the day, but they have to recognize as well there's a cost of living globally. Globally, there's a cost of living crisis, and there's people that have been watching for years that have been priced out, and it's not fair. It's just not good, and that's what I was trying to say. Sorry.
Well, Brad, that's across the whole of entertainment. Go and try and go to a Man United game. Go and try and go to a Liverpool game, and see what it costs you. I'm being quoted 600-700 quid to go to a Liverpool game for 90 minutes of football. You know what I mean? So like you gotta take everything kind of a little bit in perspective. If you go to any concert at the moment, I tried to book tickets for Metallica last week for the Aviva. They were 197 quid a ticket. I got 2 tickets for £80 each for the London Stadium for the same gig. You know, so like it's the thing about it is, but you can't compare. Like you can't turn around and go, okay, here's a ticket for whoever it is. You know, I want to go and see, say, Aslan, and here's a ticket for Coldplay, or here's a ticket for U2, or here's a ticket for Oasis. You can't turn around and compare ticket prices with AEW with WWE. It's chalk and cheese.
I get it, but like for me, like one day I'd want to bring, say, Rosie and Connor, for example, my son and daughter, as an example. I'd love to bring Rosie and Connor to a wrestling event, but in the future, it's not looking likely based on the prices of it. I get what you're saying, though. To be fair, it's a solid point.
Well, it will, because it comes in circles, as remember, this all goes in a circle and all, and it's at a peak and it's at the height of its power at the moment. That will come around again eventually. But the problem we've said time and time again, and I've been beating this drum for about 15 years in the shop, if they keep showing up and they keep on paying it, someone else, if you give up your season ticket at Man United, some other bum will be sitting in that seat next week. This is what happens. And it's the same with WWE. If you weren't sitting in that seat for 700, 800, 900 quid, someone else will gladly sit in that seat for that price. And this is the overriding issue. We've seen it with podcasts. We've seen it with meet and greets. We've seen it with attending any of these events and stuff like that. And that's the main issue with it. So look, did we ever think you'd be paying, 300-400 quid to meet Becky and Sheamus and a meet and greet and all that kind of thing? And, the prices are insane, but because the audience there's people paying 12 grand to sit in a box with The Undertaker, who's there for 20 minutes watching WrestleMania. There's people who paid 8 grand to spend 2 SummerSlam nights sitting with Kevin Nash. It boggles my mind. But as long as there's people there to pay it, they will keep doing it.
We all paid for Simon Harris to go see Oasis in the corporate box. That definitely came out of our pocket. It didn't come out of his.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a different thing altogether.
Absolutely. But sure, we'll see. But just to let you know, folks, the boys will be outside. They will be typing footage and all that kind of stuff. So go up to them, introduce yourself, let them know what you think of the podcast. Also, let us know what you like about the podcast if you're there. Is there anything you like that you don't like? What else would you like us to do? What else would you like to see? Because we're very open on this. We go with a format here and stuff like that. But if you want to change it up or you want to keep ideas, we're always open to that, WWE booking Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, ECW match stipulation. Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense with the name of the pay-per-view. Keep an eye out for OTT and Fight Factory Pro Wrestling Security. Absolutely.
Yeah, I see them all the time. I see Limo and Darryl Lynch. I think I saw Con Kelly once or twice. But yeah,
Jay was doing security at Oasis.
That spinner belt is sold out. It's sold out.
There you go.
I actually know your man Jay Hines from that. He's actually one of my mates. That's in OTT.
There
Good
we
fella.
go. We love you, Daddy Brand. There you go. Ireland is third expensive country in the EU. Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
the fifth
I
expensive
remember-
country on the planet.
I remember hearing Joe Cabray. He was on a podcast talking about like venues, and he said that he ran into a friend who was from Germany, and he was a big wrestling fan. And he traveled all over the world to go to shows. So he went to WrestleManias, he went to stuff in the Tokyo Dome, all these places, and he flew over for I think the 10th anniversary show that had Finn and JD on it. And he said that went to Mania, went to Tokyo Dome, as I said, but out of all the places he went to, Dublin was the most expensive for anything.
Them prices, and they have 3 absolute hacks turning up for a meet and greet in Smiths that nobody knows get fucked. There we go.
Like-
That's what changes the business. That's the attitude that changes the business.
We need
There
more
you go.
Dinos.
The other thing you also have to remember as well that we have, like, you're dealing with Ticketmaster as well. So this is not all necessarily WWE. Like, we got charged over. I think our service charges on our tickets for the Allegiant Stadium was over $300. It was insane.
Mental.
$300 for the service charge, lads. The service
Mental.
charge. There we go. But listen, we look forward to it. Make sure you join me on Friday night if you can, or if you see the boys outside, go up to them, give them welly, give them socks, and the more controversial, the better. Right, this
I think
came.
when you,
Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead. No, fire away, go on.
I think when you put ticket prices aside and all that sort of stuff, I think we're very lucky.
Right, Dave.
Like we're getting John Cena on his retirement tour, and for him to pick Dublin or come to Dublin for Smackdown, I think we're extremely lucky. I think it's going to be an absolute blast.
Glass half full. Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's doing it for free. Just saying. Right, this came out today. What did you make of this, lads? The Hollywood Reporter has ranked the top 10 wrestlers turned actors.
The only 10 wrestlers that turned actors by the looks of things.
Well, I'd say it was a
You know what I mean?
10-man list. Yeah. So what did we think? What did we think of Batista at number 1, first of all?
I think it would have been The Rock number 1, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest.
I'd go with Batista based on range and based on the roles that he's taken on. I love The Rock's films. I'm a Rock guy when it comes to his movies. I'm a sucker. I buy them on DVD. But if you look at Batista's roles, what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy was a game changer. And basically other roles that he's taken on, Cabin in the Woods, I think it was.
That was great character development. That Cabin in the Woods was
what he
amazing.
did there was class. I don't think that's the best picture they could have used in the article. To be honest with you, he looks like he looks like a Buddhist monk, which is nothing wrong with, by the way.
It looks like he's just had a shower.
Yeah, look, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish I looked like that coming out of the shower, which is a weird thing to say. But I actually think that John Cena, John Cena is probably rightly placed. Maybe I put John Cena ahead of The Rock. I put John Cena ahead of The Rock.
The Rock kind
Because
of plays the same character in every film, though, doesn't he?
yeah, and I think Peacemaker kind of pivoted John Cena to a different level. I'm not saying it turns him into Robert De Niro, but what he did with Peacemaker was brilliant. It was excellent.
It's a
and
state.
do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the rest of them, Roddy Piper and They Live. Roddy Piper was class and They Live. But have you ever seen Hell Comes to Frogtown?
No.
Oh my lord. Don't watch it. Well, do watch it for the crack.
With Roddy Piper.
With Roddy Piper, yeah. And look, Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, quality, Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah. One thing. Why is Big Show on this list?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Yeah.
Knucklehead.
Knucklehead.
Quality.
The only thing I know from Edge is Haven. That's it. That's he's in.
Do we agree with the list order though? I mean, what do you think?
I would have
Is
went
it-
with The Rock because he's more well known than Batista. Or
I'd like to know. Do you know when they do these things? I'd like to know what was the basis for forming the list? What did they look at? Did they look at movies that were successful? Did they look at box office? Did they look at the money? Did they look at the budget? Did they look at the character? Did they look at the range? What did they look at? Because you obviously look at The Rock and like his films, although like if you're an avid nerd on your mum's couch and you're big into DC and Marvel, you're gonna say this lad is destroying the universe and all this kind of stuff with some of these movies. But then well, as you said, when you look at Batista and you look at the range of the movies he's done and the characters he's done and stuff like that, so I just wonder what way they're judging it. You know what I mean?
Based on the list, I would say it was range based on the list alone, because you could almost group 4 to 10 in one. Like you put them joint number 5. Honestly, because they weren't that good. Like Kevin Nash's best role was probably The Longest Yard, or when he played Super Shredder in Ninja Turtles.
He was also in that musical, wasn't he, with Tom Cruise? I forget the name of it. He was the
Rock
bodyguard.
of Ages.
Yeah.
Was he in Magic Mike?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was very good in that.
And I
But
only
The
know
Longest
that
Yard,
'cause
he
I
was
saw him on the
quality.
cover.
I know it because I watched it on repeat. I'm only messing. I'm wrong with that. I'm wrong with
You
that.
watched it on pause.
It's 2025.
Yeah. COVID
Love
got
There
this.
we go. There we go.
Well, I had to watch
Yeah.
something in lockdown.
Yeah, that's true. Sean Mac,
What do you think, Niall?
what do you make? What do you make of it?
I think it's pretty decent. Again, I'm not sure if the criteria is like IMDb profiles, or because I remember there's a point in time where The Rock was the highest paid actor in the world, and he's been in a couple of big things. Fast and Furious, I presume, helps. Black Adam, even though it was shite, is a Marvel movie.
Great shout.
All these other
Steve
things.
Austin,
Yeah, he had a few good ones. Now, Big Show, the only thing I know he was in was a thing called Knucklehead. And it was one of these terrible WWE studio movies.
Have you seen Big Daddy?
Because
he's
Big Show?
Yeah, because he's playing the character based on the character he plays in Big Daddy and AEW. He brings out Captain Insano every now and again. That's Big Show.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
No, the only thing I know Edge was in was some like spy caper thing that also had Lana
Also Vikings.
and Vikings.
Oh,
Yeah,
Vikings, yeah.
He was
Yeah,
he was
Vikings.
he was living in Greystones. He was living near you. Oh well, I shouldn't say that. Sorry. He was living in Greystones.
it's gonna be 400
Location.
I did say a name. I did say a name. I did not say
Yeah.
a name.
I think, Roddy Piper as well with They Live is a good
Yeah.
shout.
Iconic.
I think it's interchangeable, but I think Batista, Rock, Cena is probably the best. It's probably a very solid 3. It just depends on your tastes.
Do you
I
think Roman
suppose
Reigns-
it depends on your genre as well and what you kind of like. Do you like horror? Do you like sci-fi? Do you like action? And
Subjective,
fighting and
right?
stuff like that? You know what I mean? Because like if you're into kind of hard-hitting action, kind of fighting, kind of movies and stuff like that, then The Rock is up there, isn't he? I mean, every single movie's practically the same. If he's not out running tidal waves, he's battering lads and he's taking down nuclear submarines and all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean?
Although
Somebody else
he has a
like,
film coming out in September that looks deadly. He plays the UFC fighter. Look at the trailer; it's very good.
Mark Kerr. Yeah,
Yeah,
Smash
Mark Kerr,
Machine.
Smash
That'd be
Machine, yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see
That
that.
should be interesting.
I feel like no matter what way you
Stone
look at
Cold
it-
is a show. Surely Stone Cold.
Triple H was
What
in a
was-
few movies, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was in
Yeah.
Blade.
Yeah.
the chaperone.
Chaperone. Yeah, he was in Blade.
What about Kane?
Oh,
Cena
See No
Evil.
Evil was deadly. It was very
Yeah.
good,
wasn't it?
but he was just Kane in it, right? So
There's apparently a thing in See No Evil where Vince messaged the producers, like he has a really strange request, and then the director said, "Well, yeah, it's his movie. We'll do it. What is it?" He said, "He wants one scene in particular where Kane's character whips out his willy, and it's 3 inches long, and it has to be exactly 3 inches. And this is in the horror movie." And they were like, I know it's Vince's movie, but tell him no. Think of what could have been.
Female hormone tablets in The Longest Yard. Absolutely
it was so
amazing.
good.
Great Khali was in Longest Yard,
Yeah.
and so was Goldberg.
Yeah.
He was in the cage.
Yeah, it was stacked with wrestlers, wasn't it?
Do you
He
think
was
Roman
out-
will be in this list eventually?
Who?
Roman Reigns. Do you think he'll be in this
Yeah.
list eventually?
Yeah.
Well, he's
absolutely.
in Street Fighter. Coming up.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
He was in what's that new movie on Prime?
Where I think bloody does it?
Kiki
So-
Palmer and all them are in it.
They walk in, they say, "Yo, somebody's saying you're not a good champ." He just gives
Yeah.
them the Roman look.
Yeah.
I showed him who's a good champ.
He's tailor made for Hollywood, isn't he, Rome? Look and
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
else.
I feel like no matter what way you look at it, they're hitting the nail on the head with having the 3 lads in the top 3.
He's the upgrade to Jason Momoa, really. You know what I mean? He's a far more kind of like built and more handsome Jason. Whoa, there you go.
I don't mind Jason Momoa.
The do run. Oh my god, he's broken.
There we
Anyway,
go. Right, couple of other things, and then we'll just do a quick little preview for Forbidden Door and stuff like that. Let's start with Jericho talking about potentially leaving AEW and coming back for one final run, Hall of Fame book. Not so much DVD anymore, but book and everything else, documentary, the whole lot and stuff like that. What do we make of this?
I think this. Sorry, Sean, you go ahead.
I'm a big fan of Chris Jericho, always have been, but his last maybe 2 years in AEW, I think were terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I don't know how a WWE return would pan out, especially a WWE that's not in a great state right now as a product. I don't know about sliding back in, but I think if he has one like actually solid run where he's actually himself, serious, entertaining, even as a heel, like he was such a great dickhead, miserable heel back in the day. I think it can happen, and I like the idea of him having a final run with guys. Just trying to think who could he go with in the company. Rand, I suppose anyone really. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but if AEW is a taster or an appetizer of what it could be, then I don't know how to feel.
But Sean, what are they going to do with him? Like, he's nearly 60, and is he going to have one last run or something like that with a title? Or I just think he's past the sell by day in the ring.
Give him another IC title run, maybe, or
I think it writes itself. Though it writes itself. You bring Jericho back for one final run. You bring him back as a surprise entry into the Rumble. You give him a program for WrestleMania. You put him in the Hall of Fame. And then whatever happens then after that, bring him back and forward sparingly. Have him release the book, promote the book, bring out the documentary on WWE.com, not the network anymore, Netflix, and have him talk candidly about AEW and all of that. Because he was there throughout all the, like, when Hangman Page was having hissy fits in the back and all that, he would have bore witness to that. He'd have a very interesting take on it all. So I think it writes itself if they go that way.
Would you do like Jericho's greatest hits for 1 year, like they're doing with John Cena?
That's too long. That's too long for Chris Jericho. I think give him a solid few months and then bring him back sparingly, because I think Jericho has good performances left in him. Remember WrestleMania 21, I think it was, where Ricky Steamboat had a solid performance and Jericho was involved in that.
Ricky Steamboat looked incredible.
Now the roles are reversed. Now where Jericho is where Ricky Steamboat was, a little bit younger. But I think he has the ability to put that Ricky Steamboat performance out there, and consistently too, if he's creatively, mentally, and physically challenged. If he goes back to the WWE, he has something to prove. He went back to AEW. No, he went to AEW. AEW has become Ring of 25. Yeah, sorry. AEW has become Ring of Honor in 05. You know what I mean? That's AEW. AEW is the indie leagues at the moment. And that is a knock on them, to be honest with you. They've no sense of story in them. So I say go back to the big leagues, Chris. Do your little run for 2 or 3 months and then come back in and out sparingly as a legend. That's just my opinion.
I think the one thing we know about Jericho is he's been very dynamic throughout his career in terms of evolving and in terms of coming up with really, really interesting stuff. If you think of Jericho's career from the beginning right through and how it evolved and the stuff he did with Kevin Owens and the stuff he did, was undisputed. I mean, this guy was the first undisputed champion, remember, and all and stuff, so it makes sense to go back in and finish the career and the story that way and close that loop. But I think the Jericho we need is not the one that shows about his shape, or not the one that's just come off tour with Fozzy, or not we need the Jericho that's in there, in shape, fully focused, who's going to give us maybe a 3 or a 6 month run. Maybe you do a kind of like Punk, you bring him in Survivor Series and you run it to Mania and everything in between kind of thing. And maybe that's the way you go about doing it. Surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble would be kind of cool and stuff like that. If that music hits, that would be really, really cool. And something, and it might be a bit of a stretch because I don't know when things end, but I'd love to see him back in there again with John Cena. I think that would be really cool.
But there's no time left for John Cena, so if he's coming back, it has to be now.
Yeah,
time
true.
is now.
But that's what I mean.
Time is now.
Yeah,
Literally.
but that's what I mean. That's what I mean. If the timing aligned, it would be
It's not-
perfect. You know?
So from what I understand, his contract is out of date within the last couple of weeks of December. So he's, but I wholeheartedly agree with Niall. If he got involved somehow in the John Cena thing, it would be icing on the cake. But we'll see what happens. I think he should absolutely do it. Do not, because he's been sharing a lot. He's been sharing a lot of old memories of him in WWE on social media, which sometimes is an indicator, but it's also sometimes can be a let's throw them off for a bit, sign a 2-year extension, and then do the Jericho retirement tour
Bren,
in 2 years.
I think Chris Jericho knew from the last year that he wanted to end his career in WWE. He doesn't want to end his career in AEW because that's where it all began from, in a sense. I know it was WCW he was in when he was a lot younger, but he kind of made his name fully in WWE, and I think he wants to finish there properly.
We
I
need to
feel.
see that timer one more time. It has to happen at the Rumble, and we need to see that entrance. And I think he's going to make it happen.
Well, you know, when we look into AEW, we see guys like Jericho and Christian and Edge and whoever, Daniel Bryan, guys who are in there. We know they're WWE guys. We know why they went over there. We know about creative control. We know about the huge sums of money that were offered. We know about all these things that made it very tantalizing to go over there, a lesser work schedule, whatever it is, that suited all these guys. And obviously gave the likes of Jericho, who has a lot of projects outside of wrestling, to be able to go and do those things as well, and then flash back in and all that kind of stuff. So we know why it suited those guys to go over there. But then you're looking over then the other side of the map and you're thinking, that's where I was. I was one of those guys. That's where it should really end, And it's like when I see AEW doing the Owen Hart tournament, it doesn't sit right with me. Now I know why it happens and I understand it. But it doesn't sit right with me that you run a tournament about a guy who was on the other side of the tracks, and we know everything that happened, of course. Now,
Would you have like Jericho against Gunther or something like that if he came back?
I don't want Gunther chopping Jericho's chest at all. It's already caved in as it is. I don't want that happening at all, and that's a different topic, really. I don't know. It's hard to know. I mean, there's plenty. You could have Jericho versus Punk. You could have Jericho versus Seth Rollins. Would be very, very interesting. Jericho, Finn Balor. There's so many matchups there. You can pad him out for a year if you wanted, with stuff that could be very, very interesting.
And we all know he has the ability to be slid into those spots as well. He does. And if he's really invested, and I think Jericho will do it, if he's really invested, he'll get the job done. He'll give us what we want. And like I say, it goes back to the Steamboat effect at WrestleMania 25, and that's what Jericho's going to give us.
I think we'll get Jericho versus Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
of course. It makes sense. But that's it. You can slide him anywhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, we know the guy has chemistry with anyone he gets in the ring with. And we know there's kind of been a kind of a lackluster kind of approach in AEW at times. But, we've seen even when he really is focused and he wants to become the pain maker or whatever it is, and, these kind of different things, we could see how creative he can be. And 9 times out of 10, when you look at Chris Jericho's creativity and stuff like that, it really hits well. So we'll see. Kenny's in, actually. Big up, Kenny. Good man. I love Jericho, but unfortunately it would just be a nostalgia act. Might work if he came in as a mouthpiece. Yeah, and it might be if it's even short-lived and stuff like that. But I think it would be really cool to see Chris Jericho round out his career in a WrestleMania ring. I think that would be something. We'll throw money at Chris Irvine for a new deal, unfortunately. But it may not be about money at that side. I mean, at this stage in his career, he's financially set and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And it may be about how he wants to be remembered. You don't necessarily want to be remembered for the guy who took the bag. Jericho versus heel Cody would be marvelous. Yeah, that would work. Or you could flip
the other way around.
You could flip a Jericho heel as class. Remember Jericho, Kevin Owens and all? What unbelievable stuff they came out with.
Some of the best segments of all time.
Imagine sitting in creative and saying, listen, we're going to put Jericho together with Kevin Owens, and how that worked was amazing.
But he was involved in that, but he was also involved in one of my favorite feuds of all time. Remember Jericho punched Shawn Michaels' wife? That whole feud was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And again, you put him with Kevin Owens. Like I said, I'm a massive Jericho fan. Stick him anywhere.
The match at Mania that's often forgotten about.
Yeah, 100%.
No,
I love the
right
Jericho
on.
Chris Benoit matches. I think they were the best. The ladder matches as well.
Yep, no doubt. There, Jericho HBK, spot on that match. Was it 19? Was it 19
Yeah,
or
that's
18?
2019. Yeah.
19, yeah, phenomenal.
I do.
Anyway, this one, lads. Wednesday Night Wars. How do you feel about this? Sean Mack, you're a bit quiet tonight. Come on, talk to me. TNA potentially going up against AEW on a Wednesday night. Yay, nay, could be good, could be bad. Does it work? What you think?
Suicide.
For who?
For TNA. Do you remember they
Yeah.
had the bright idea of moving
Monday Night
Impact
Impact.
on the same day as Monday Night Raw? Didn't go exactly to plan.
That was a different.
TNA.
Are you talking about Suicide for TNA or AEW?
For
Sorry,
TNA.
say that again.
It's Suicide for TNA because TNA is already under the radar as is on its own date when it's not clashing to anything.
Yeah, but they kind of have WWE to help them out as well a bit, don't they?
Do you not think WWE will inject some of their talent in? Because I actually think the way AEW is going at the moment with the third member of the 90s tag team, the Smoking Guns, I actually think him as champion is not good. It's not good, and I think if WWE put the right injection into TNA, do you not think it's a different dynamic here?
It
I don't
would
know.
be.
Well, Wednesday's primarily
Yeah,
a
no, go
night
ahead,
for
sorry,
AEW.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I didn't mean to put into there.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Same way that Monday is primarily a night we all know for Raw. Wednesday is primarily a night we always know for AEW. And TNA, you know, as I said, don't get enough exposure on their own. There's nothing else on Thursday. But on Wednesday, people are watching AEW. Even AEW when it's bad, I still think is better than TNA. I still think we'll get more eyes on TNA. I just don't see how it's feasible. Having the WB talent in there, I don't know. Now, unless Hogan comes back from the dead and shows up, maybe. Hogan and Bischoff.
I think the problem is if you put too much WWE in there to go up against it, then it doesn't be TNA.
No,
that's how it will be sold.
Yeah.
That's the problem. There's only so
It's kind of like Ring of Honor.
You can't have TNA Impact on a Wednesday night going up against AEW, and your main event is LA Knight versus Roman Reigns. Just absolutely fuck them, you know. Just go, oh yeah, there you go. Or
if Triple H had his way, that would absolutely be the case.
Oh, 100%. But then what happens is that the TNA identity and the brand and the thing that we're kind of enjoying kind of goes away. Then you know what I mean? Like you have a Roman Reigns versus Steve Macklin. You know what I mean?
Do we think? And I think Dave touches on it there, and I was about to say, do you think this will be the actual death of TNA? Do you think it'll, like Dave says, it'll just be a new ECW?
Brian, from what I've heard, is apparently WWE is looking to buy TNA at some stage. From what I've heard.
Well, no, they're part of the TKO brand, so they don't need to buy them. It's like AAA. They're all part of the TKO.
Yeah. I think Christian Cage said if there was a god, Ric Flair would have been dead a long time ago. And you could maybe say the same about TNA. Not because they deserve it, but because they have really gone through the trenches.
It's a fair statement.
And they are still here. So I don't see them ever dying.
Yeah.
To be honest. But I don't see them ever really propping back up into the second biggest company.
The thing about it, if it did happen, and then let's suppose Jericho went back to WWE, and let's suppose that opens a bit of a chasm, and then maybe Christian goes back, and then maybe Edge goes back, then all of a sudden you have a very different AEW product. I was going to go as far as Moxley there, but I thought that might be a stretch.
Can then you see MJF staying at AEW for the rest of his career? Do you think he'll eventually pop over to WWE at some stage?
No, I think he likes being the big boy in the small ball.
Yeah,
be a bit strange to get tattoo removed, wouldn't it?
He's already got it removed.
Has he?
Yeah, I read he got it removed.
Yeah, I think he did get it removed. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Scarlet for him for getting the tattoo anyway. Sorry.
Like if you think where we're struggling with Aleister Black, who's come back in and stuff like that, can you imagine if MJF comes in?
You'd stick him straight in a feud with the Miz. That's what I do anyway.
Yeah.
And you've been stealing. You came along, stole my gimmick. Yeah, I did it better. You know what I mean?
It's like the whole Britt Baker going to WWE news, like that died down fierce quick. And like with Britt Baker being the first woman signed to AEW, she's not going to leave. Whether she's on TV or not, she's still getting her paycheck every week. She's getting it handy, so why would she leave? And I suppose
I suppose outside of the money, you want also like these are paid professional sports and entertainers and stuff like that and all. But at some stage, you want to park the money and you want to leave your mark on the business. And your mark on the business is not sitting at home 3 weeks out of 4 in a month. You know what I mean? You want to feel like, you don't want to be looking back on your career in 30 years' time and go, yeah, I have all this wealth and I'm set and I have my house and I'm retired and all this kind of thing. But I really did fuck all. I was a very, very handsomely paid jobber, for lack of a better word, kind of thing. You know what I mean? You want to leave some sort of a legacy in there, like wherever it is you are. You know what I mean? Like you think about it. We talk about Jeff Hardy. We can rattle off all the Jeff Hardy moments. We can rattle off all the Triple H moments. We can rattle off all the Randy Orton moments. There's a legacy there. People will talk about these wrestlers, in 20, 30, 40 years' time. You know what I mean? So if you're in there, you want to be that wrestler as well, who's kind of like everyone talks about Austin, Rock. In 50 years' time, they'll still be talking about Hulk Hogan.
Well, if you're not like that, then you shouldn't be there. It's as simple as that. If you're not there to leave a legacy, if you're not there to be the biggest guy in the roster, like we were saying about Jay earlier on, have that belief. If you're not there to be the best, get off the roster. Go work in the civil service or something like that. See the welfare. You shouldn't be there unless you want to leave a legacy behind.
Yeah, but I think the difficulty with that, Dave, is I think where Cesaro was such an athlete and he's excellent in terms of what he does.
He was great with Sheamus, though.
But was it? I think he's a very hard sell, to be honest, Cesaro. And I think with the way the business has developed, and you think about the characters that are developing and, the influx of AAA and what they're doing on NXT and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. I find it very difficult to figure out what would you do with him.
He's not marketable. Cesaro is not marketable. He never was.
He's very hard to marketable. I thought.
It was all kind of hype. I think everyone loved him when he debuted in AEW and Ring of Honor and became the Ring of Honor champion, because close to the end of his WWE career, then he gained that bit of momentum. I think it was just more nostalgia than anything.
No,
I honestly think we remember more about Titus O'Neil than we do about Cesaro.
Yeah,
well, we do.
That's a great joke, Dave.
When I think about Cesaro, I think of a beach ball. That shouldn't be the case, right? When I think about Titus, I think about a slip. That shouldn't be the case. Do you know what I mean? Because these guys are talented, but I actually think Titus is really talented, and he should have been marketed correctly. But somebody like Cesaro, he's not marketable. He is a mid-card guy. That's all he ever will be. He's great in the ring, great to watch, but he's not world champion. He would not be able to carry a company on his shoulders, and it's as simple as that.
But he was never able to connect with the fans, though, even in WWE.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. He can't connect with the fans, and that's what he's missing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Niall alluded to earlier on, you could have 4 moves of doom and be the greatest of all time for 20 years. Do you know what I mean? Hulk Hogan, when he was wrestling in the US, not so much Japan, had 4 or 5 moves. You know what I mean? And he was the greatest of all time.
We've seen guys become champion with a finger poke. Now, we don't agree with it, but we still remember it and we still talk about it.
But even on that, we remember more about Kevin Nash. We remember more about Diesel because they had something to them. They were marketable.
Yeah. No, I think to me it would be a difficult one.
I feel like once you kind of connect all the companies, the one thing they have in common is they can't really stick to their own brand. They kind of have to latch on to another, like you have TNA latching on to WWE. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, it's so far it's been brilliant. But TNA could make their own name at the same time, and they have done. And I'm not saying they don't have a name for themselves. But then you look at Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor was already a massive brand. Now that's just a background brand to AEW. Like, they've had to start putting their episodes on YouTube for free just to get publicity and just to get views even. Like, they can't even keep their own champions on their own brand. Like, Athena, who's the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, is all of a sudden gunning for the AEW Women's World title. Like, they can't keep their own champions on their own brand. And for WWE and TNA, it's a different case. Like, that crossover's fine. It's enjoyable. Everyone likes seeing it, and there's nothing bad about it. But when you do it
Someone's
with...
crying. Cheers.
But when you do it with Ring of Honor and AEW, it just doesn't work. And everyone who... Well, not everyone, but most people who watch both brands, it tell you it just doesn't work. Ring of Honor just should have been left alone. And I'm not saying that it should have been left alone to die. I'm just saying,
No,
Tony
but
Khan didn't need to do that.
Brought out some amazing wrestlers as well, like CM Punk, Samoa Joe,
yeah.
Seth
But
Rollins.
it's kind of like how we felt about WCW. When WWE bought WCW, they should have ran it as a separate entity.
Yeah,
they should.
It's just
the invasion was
down
crap
at
and
this
all.
point.
Well,
It's
that was Shane
watered
McMahon's
down.
idea, right? That was Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon wanted to run it completely separately. But I think what we're talking about here, in my opinion, is the difference between superstars and indie darlings.
Yes.
And there is a such thing as indie darlings. And the indie darlings are the guys that, in theory, great guys, great wrestlers, and we'd love to see them push to the moon. But the fact of the matter is they don't cut the mustard. And that's what it comes down to. They're not the complete package. You have to be the complete package. It's 80% on the mic and 20% in the ring. And I'd even say, because when you think about The Rock, for example, first thing that comes to my head is his promos. And he's good in the ring. You know what I mean? Fourth thing is he's just deadly on the microphone, because that's what it's the talking that brings us into the building, and it's the wrestling then that we get to enjoy at the end of the talking, as long as it was good.
You have to want it.
Yeah. There has to be a reason to come back. Where we talk about Jericho coming back and finishes his career doing that kind of stuff. You think about Cesaro coming back in. What are they going to do? They're just going to throw him with Sheamus again? What are they going to do?
That's all they can do.
Yeah.
Storyline mats.
AEW lacks identity. Big up, Sean. Dave's in. I remember saying it fobbed off Punk when he first signed you. Gave him a gun and put him in a gangster car, didn't he? Yeah.
Dave, I would argue Scott Steiner is much better at mats than me. Do you know what I mean? That's saying something.
What about Bubba?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks.
Don't bring that up in here. Don't bring that up in here.
Right. We're flying here on time, lads. So I'm conscious of it, you know. Quick one. We'll just get Sean on this. Obviously, he being the female wrestling go-to guy normally on this panel to a point. Tiffany Stratton's title reign so far. What you thinking?
I don't know. I'm going to be dead honest. I have very mixed feelings about this reign. I feel like NXT Tiffany Stratton was phenomenal. She had everything, and she still does have everything. But I just feel as of late, they're very lost. I feel like the Jade Cargill feud was kind of only... What?
Don't mind him, Sean. Don't mind him. We know that your appreciation is for the wrestling. I agree with Universal.
The truth's coming out. Yeah, I just feel like the Jade Cargill feud was kind of filler, and you see them circling back to Nia Jax now. I feel like that just kind of drives home the point of they don't have any plans.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of disappointing part about it, because she does have everything. She's a star, and she's phenomenal. I don't have another word. She just is phenomenal.
Do you think they need to bring up more NXT women then, just to shuffle the pack, make it a bit more interesting?
I feel like they kind of do. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like that's kind of their only option at this point.
Yeah.
Like, as we said earlier, the SmackDown roster as is just isn't cutting it really. And you can kind of say that for the women's division too. You know, I feel all the women are on the Raw brand. It's not really mixed. Like, you don't have any of the proper... All women are stars in WWE, but I mean, like, you don't have any real main event stars that you could put in a feud with Tiffany Stratton on the roster at the moment. I feel like bringing women up from NXT is their only option.
Right.
But for Tiffany's
Do you think
title
this might have to
reign,
be like Trish, do you think, Sean? Because of the lack of women at the moment.
I kind of feel like it,
No, I
yeah.
think, do you know what I thought it was? I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to legitimize Tiffany's career.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
going through, like she, as we said before on a couple of podcasts back, I think she's legitimizing her career because she's collecting a lot of really, really good scalps. Charlotte, Trish Stratus. There's a level of quality there she's building along, you know. And
They're
I think
shoving
that's
it
really,
all in, though.
I think that, yeah, but the problem is maybe they're pivoting too quick. Maybe the Trish thing could be a couple of months. Maybe the Charlotte thing could be a couple of months. Maybe it could be. Maybe they could find somewhere of a blend between month on month and maybe somewhere in between that and long-term storytelling, and maybe that might work a little bit better, and it might allow us to buy into the journey a little bit more. Whereas we've spoke about this even with the Cody reign. 1 minute it's AJ Styles, then he's wrestling Kevin Owens, then he's wrestling John Cena, then he's, you know what I mean? And a lot of it we felt was a lot of box ticking after Cody got the belt, rather than we had come from a 2-year chase to get the belt to suddenly month on month. And that's where we felt it was kind of a little bit of a problem. So I really think with Tiffany, I think what they should do is give her a dance partner. And if it's Nia, it's Nia. Give her a dance partner, but run it for a couple of months. Don't have it that this is this 4-week block and it's box ticking, you know. But I mean, if you go back and you look at what she's done there, she's collected a lot of names on the way that definitely, you know, solidifies her as being
I wouldn't
legit.
mind seeing Alexa Bliss and Tiffy or something like that, or even WrestleMania, Becky versus Tiffy for the title.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's been good overall, and I don't mind them circling back to Nia, but I feel like it's kind of gotten to be a very common occurrence with kind of most champions in WWE today, that they always circle back quite fast. Like they only had Nia a few months ago, and now they're back to her. Like I know they have the feud going with Nia and Lash at the moment in NXT. And now they're jumping into Tiffany, so kind of evening.
Is that just the nature of the game, though? Because the way wrestling fans are as a whole, is that just the nature of the game that they need to move quick and they need to move faster, and they've got so much going on, they're juggling so many things? Is that just the way wrestling's going to be going forward? You know, could change down the line.
Well, if it is, it's not going to work, because what happens is then you're not really going to. It's very hard then to get invested.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Because let's suppose this week it's Nia Jax, and you get that for a month up till the next pay-per-view. You know, because it's ending so quick, you're not going to be really that bothered. You'll tune in at the bigger points of it, but you won't really get invested in the journey and the story.
Yeah.
And it's and like we're trying to get invested in the journey and the story and the career of Tiffany Stratton and how it evolves and stuff like that. But it's got to be really meaningful, you know. And we know the girls in there are super at what they do. They're so talented and stuff like that and all, and you know, get all the props in the world. But we also know they've got to work very hard.
Yeah.
And they're so much harder than the guys even at times in order to get that investment in there and stuff like that. You know, we've seen, I mean, just you only have to look at Rhea Ripley and how she has developed over the last 3, 4, 5 years. You know what I mean? To arrive at where she arrives at and stuff like that. So I think that's really, for me, I think they just need to make it a little bit more meaningful, that it's not a box ticking exercise and you look back and you go, yeah, I had 12 opponents this year and I beat all 12 of them, and here's the list, and it's like you categorize. You want to feel that there's real tension between them, that there's a dislike, there's a heel and there's a face, or there's a banter, or there's an issue, or there's something more to it. That's why I know people kind of frowned a little bit upon on the Charlotte stuff with the divorces and stuff like that. But it was the biggest talking point there that week, and it made us really get invested and involved in it. And even when we seen the Unreal documentary about how she went off script and stuff like that, and she pivoted. But like, it really made us think, okay, these don't fucking like each other. And then the Unreal documentary showed that they had the height of respect for each other, and they were hugging and they were kissing, and Charlotte was delighted to put her over and all this kind of stuff. And you know, so it's a little bit that way, you know. So, but I just think it just needs a little bit more and stuff like that, you know.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I kind of hope it's up from here, and I'm not saying it's been downhill or anything, but I just hope it goes that extra mile and that we get basically nearly the best of the best, or the best that can be offered. The guy,
Keith, are you Universal? Yeah,
No.
aren't you?
Yeah, and
He's sitting there typing posts and comments now, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Rhea will get the title now, finally.
No, God, no, please, no.
Fine.
I've no issue with Rhea getting the title.
I do.
I love Rhea Ripley. No issue with her getting the title at all. I think she's brilliant.
Bren, I would agree with you. I do love Rhea Ripley, but I just think she's gonna turn into a Charlotte where she just has too many titles.
Yeah.
You know, and damn, it just gets too much then.
Universal.
All right.
Regarding Unreal producers have publicly announced that everything on Unreal was staged, scripted, and fabricated. Didn't stop me enjoying it, though. Didn't stop me enjoying it. The whole thing is fabricated and staged.
It was a bit of crack.
It's pro
There's
wrestling.
no such thing as reality TV shows anymore, particularly when it comes to wrestling.
True.
Right, we're not going to get the Forbidden Door, but we will look at it. We will do a review of it next week as part of the show. I'll run down quickly through a little bit of history. There's not much in there, so I won't hold just too long on it. And I'll give you some birthdays are in there as well, so we'll do it pretty quick. So first of all, we start off, of course, 1993 WCW presented Clash Champions 14. Vader defeated Davey Boy Smith in the main event, but of course it was the Shockmaster's debut as he fell on his ass. So there you go. That one. 2018 NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 took place. The enormous critical acclaim. The main event saw Tommaso Ciampa, Sean, defeat his great rival Johnny Gargano to retain the NXT Championship in the last man standing match. What a match. What a match.
Unbelievable. One of my favorites.
Monday Night Raw 2001 played host this week to Austin Appreciation Night. But we know, looking over my shoulder, it was more known, of course, for Kurt Angle driving a milk truck to ringside. And Milk-O-Mania happened and was set in the history of pro wrestling. 1979, Dusty Rhodes defeated Harley Race to win his first ever NWA World Heavyweight title in Tampa. He would lose the belt 5 days later back to Harley Race. 2000, Lita defeated Stephanie McMahon Hemsley to win the WWE Women's title. This match was the first time in history that a women's match main evented Monday Night Raw. So there we go. 2005, SummerSlam took place. More recognized, of course, for Hogan versus Shawn Michaels and all the overselling and everything that went on with it. And Rey Mysterio fought Eddie Guerrero in a ladder match to win custody of Mysterio's son, Dominic, as the prize. Had to put that in there, of course, for obvious reasons. And, of course, this week, 2016, WWE SummerSlam was held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And, of course, Finn Balor defeated Seth Rollins, only to be injured in the match and forced to vacate the belt the next night. An absolute travesty. I was so looking forward to the Demon and the Universal run and stuff like that. Notable birthdays: 1973, Lillian Garcia. 1986, Pac. 1984, Eve Torres. 1981, Trent Seven. 1969, a man that we talk about in the podcast, Nathan Jones. 1924, the great Pat O'Connor. 1953, Paul Ellering, the leader of the Road Warriors. 1985, Jimmy and Jey Uso. And we rounded out with 1987, one Apollo Crews. That's your birthdays and your history. There we go. Let's finish off. A couple of comments. Where are we? The Keith is Universal conspiracy theory thickens.
I'm looking at you, Keith.
There you go. Shockmaster for the Hall of Fame. There we go. Tugboat, hell no.
No Shockmaster.
Choo choo. There we go. Right, folks, another brilliant show. Thanks for joining us always. Make sure you're liking on the way out and subscribing to the channel. I will be back on Thursday with Darren for Thursday Tier Talk. Preview of the Premier League action coming this weekend and all that transfer news as the window nearly closes. And then on Friday, the boys will be at Smackdown Live at the Tree Arena. They will be doing interviews and chatting to people and getting footage for the channel. I will be here doing a watch along. Might try and convince Keith to be here with me with a bit of luck. I know he's not too happy with SmackDown at the moment, but we could have a bit of crack. He could be my wingman as they
As
say.
long as
Maverick,
Goldberg doesn't come on, I'll be fine. I'll watch.
Maverick and Goose. Imagine Goldberg's music hits. Ooh. Yeah, but until next time, folks, have a safe week. Really enjoy yourself and stuff like that. Always a pleasure doing these shows for you and stuff like that. From Bren and Sean and Keith and all you guys in the chat. We will talk again real soon. Cheers, lads.
Might God bless.
Good night and God bless.
Cheers.
See you later.
Stealing your catchphrase.